Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Since a lot of us are currently stuck at home, you might have more time to paint or read. So that's why I wanted to show you how to create these fun watercolor bookmarks inspired by the spring season that you can create for yourself or that you can gift to someone else. They're super fun and easy to make, and you only need just a few colors. The first idea is to create a loose floral pattern. I already taped down my watercolor paper and divided it into equal sections. Start by loading up the tip of your wedge brush with paint. Here I used the Madder Lake Deep color from my Gogh Watercolor Set, but you can use any color you want for this. And then you want to begin painting the flowers by creating these C-shaped lines facing each other. So first create one C-shaped line, then create another like so, and then from here add more curved lines around the center. This is going to be the middle part of the flower. Don't worry about making it neatly or in the perfect order. Just make sure that there is space in between those lines and that's not just a big round circle. Next, rinse off your brush or use another brush and then load it up with clean water. And then carefully move your brush around the wet paint on the paper so the pigments can flow into the clean water, creating a soft gradient effect. So press on the brush and create a loose curved shape that looks similar to a petal. Then leave out a little bit of space and do this again, so you don't create just a round circle around the middle part. You can also carefully connect the center of the flower with the water in a few areas so you can create these beautiful loose effects. Again, don't stress too much about the shape for now or making it look super realistic. The goal is to create loose flowers while enjoying the magic of watercolor paint. With the rest of the paint on your brush, you can create small single petals to fill up the space in between the flowers. And then you just need to continue this process. To make the bookmark more cohesive, change up the place of the flowers. So instead of painting them in a row, paint some of them around the edges, in between the flowers, so it looks similar to a seamless pattern. And if there is a little bit of space in between, you can paint those small petals to fill up the gaps if you want. You can also play around with the shape of the petals. Instead of even curves, you can make them slightly wavy, slightly bigger or smaller, or change up the shape completely. You can also look up different flowers and see how they're shaped. For now, the goal is just to have fun and to practice this technique without worrying about making it super realistic. You can also pay attention to how much or little water you have on your brush and really play around with this technique. Once you've covered everything in flowers, let everything dry. In the meantime, let's create the second bookmark. The next bookmark idea is full of strawberries. To create those, all you need to do for now is creating these triangle shapes with round edges. Here use the same colored paint and edit the strawberries to different areas. Some of them are upside down, some parts of the strawberries are covered by the edges of the paper. Just make sure they are not too close to each other, as we will add the stems later as well. Once you've covered the paper in those shapes, it's time to add some dimension while the paint is still wet. To make the strawberries look more interesting, I didn't want to paint super neatly. Instead, I added a little bit of yellow paint here and there to the wet paint and then added a darker value of the same red color to create the shadows. When I applied the paint, it was rather a zigzag motion. If the paint has already dried, don't worry, just add another wash of the same red color and then add the other colors on top by using the wet on wet technique. But you can also use the wet on dry technique to make it look more abstract, so you can really play around with it. And then let everything completely dry. Once everything is dry, it's time to add the stems. For this step, you just need to paint a thin line using green colored paint above the upper area of the strawberry, and then these small wavy lines to the left and right. While the strawberries are drying, you can also use the time to paint even smaller strawberries and random dots to fill out the gaps in between. Here, I repeated the same steps and let everything completely dry. Last but not least, I added these small seeds using dark brown color, but you can also use a white or yellow pen instead or leave the strawberries the way they are. And then let everything completely dry. The next idea is all about fun patterns. Here I used the same colors and painted rainbows, different wavy lines, dots, and squares. I placed them to different areas, sometimes upside down, changed up the order, and just had fun with it. So I used my red, green, and yellow that really reminded me of watermelons and just enjoyed the process of adding paint to the paper. But you can also use a different color scheme. For example, you can use just one color and its different values to create a more monochromatic color scheme or something completely different. I have a whole guide on color schemes where I also share some tools that can help you find harmonious colors you can use in your art. You can find the link in the description box down below. I always get inspired by different color schemes, and you don't always have to paint something realistic or a certain subject. You can also have so much fun just by creating fun patterns. Don't you agree? Alright, the last bookmark pattern is also super fun and relaxing to paint. This idea is inspired by the glazing technique because to me it's so fascinating how colors change when you overlap them. To create this pattern, I simply painted circles and placed them into different areas. And while the paint was still wet, I lifted off some of the wet paint following the curve of the circle to reveal the white paper below to make the circle look more three-dimensional. Now this step is optional. You can also simply let the circle dry, but I thought this way these circles will look more like colorful bubbles and it will look more fun in the end. Then once everything is completely dry, you can go ahead and paint more circles, but this time using another color. For this step, I used a yellow paint because I wanted the orange color to shine through when I overlapped them. And every time I painted the circles, I lifted off some of the paint to turn them into bubbles. I think this pattern is so fun to paint because you get to see all the different colors you can create. Depending on how saturated or pale your colors are, you get different results, which is super fun. From here, you simply overlap as many bubbles as you want. You can use a blue color to create purples and greens, or you can simply use premixed colors like greens to see how they change when you overlap them with another color. You can see how the greens turn into a yellow-green and how some other colors get darker, super fun. And you can also do this with kids as a fun color mixing exploration party. Now once everything is completely dry, remove the tape and cut off excess paper around them if you want. I just wanted to keep a small frame around them. And you get these cute and happy looking bookmarks you can use yourself or give it to someone else. And if you need more bookmark ideas, you can check out the videos right here. I really hope you liked these ideas and enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!